And welcome, YouTube audience. This is our weekly Wednesday live stream, and so gather with us around the campfire here. Great imagery here of the closest star. There's some plasma instability happening up there in the northwestern limb, but that's not really what these videos are about. The weekly Wednesday live stream is an opportunity for people like you, the viewer, to get involved and get us to comment on things that we might not have otherwise commented on. So let me just start things out here by briefly talking about the channel. We've been doing the daily space weather content for pushing 6 years now. It's about I think we're just over 6 years in, actually. And you know what happened there is we realized that there was a niche and that nobody was filling it, right? So there was certain coverage that I wanted to see daily, and there were a couple of channels, 2 or 3 channels out there that were covering part of what we wanted to see, but not entirely what we wanted to see. And some of those channels had a heaping helping of nonsense mixed in. So that made me realize that, hey, this is space weather is a serious thing. It's becoming more and more important as time goes on. Of course, people thinking about colonizing Mars and putting permanent bases on the moon and things like this, right? So it's pretty serious, and of course I have an affinity for this. I nearly majored in cosmology back in the mid-1990s. So that's what the channel's up to. It's pretty rare that we actually do a YouTube live stream, although we're doing the weekly Wednesday afternoons at 3 p.m. each week. And of course, we built this massive internet infrastructure for people like you, because the state of affairs of social media right now is just so ridiculous that we felt we needed to provide some alternatives for people to be able to post what they want on the internet. We do encourage all legal speech on the channel, so we are 100% anti-censorship, anti-shadow bans, free speech purists. Again, we encourage all legal speech. And the Smash Team homepage, as you can see there, that's actually our Twitch stream. We just keep that running all day because you never know when something crazy is going to happen. And of course, we always like to get an archive of that just in case we need to study it, show it in the daily space weather videos, and so on. So that's why we built all of these sites. They are for people like you to utilize. If you've never seen the Smasho forum, check that out. It's linked on the homepage. There's an Amazon shop with some shopping picks. There's a Hemp Lucid shop with some Hemp Lucid picks. There's a Redbubble shop, which is under the Smasho merch link. And of course, we've got threads on the Smasho forum about cosmology, Earth and geophysics, and so on. So check that stuff out if you haven't. That said, we are also in the process of starting a 503c nonprofit science foundation. So you can read about that in the forum as well. And if you want to support our efforts, consider becoming a member of the Smash Team at smashomash.com/smashteam. Our videos are brought to you in part by our Smash Team members, the Gold and Silver Smash Team members. And it's very similar to Patreon. We provide some extra content over there. There are some posts, some shares, and so on that don't get seen by anybody else. So that's a reason to join at the Gold or Silver level alone. Again, we're free speech purists on the channel. We encourage all legal speech. We do not do things like delete people's comments and so on. So, there are a lot of channels out there that can't take criticism, and they will delete your comments. If they don't like your comments, we don't do that. However, Strike Zone. And thanks for sharing the video, SCDHL number 4. And thanks for leaving comments, Tin TV. It was a pleasure joining your live stream last night. And thank you also for sharing the video. So Troll McClure, your comment is there. And to all of you viewers, when you're looking at YouTube comments, make sure that you click the little icon in the upper right corner. On my Android device, it looks like a little gear. I don't know if it'll be visible or not. There's a little gear type thing up here. If you click that, you'll get a menu that says Chat Filter Top Messages. If you click that, you click All Messages, and then your chat will not be curated by Google. Yes. Yeah, so YouTube curates the chats. If you leave it in the default setting, it will sort the top. It'll create top comments, and it'll put those at the top, and it'll hide some of the other comments for some ridiculous reason. It's one of these many fixes that certain big tech organizations insist upon doing. They keep fixing things that aren't broken, not fixing. They keep fixing things that aren't broken, looking for solutions to non-existent problems, and not solving all the shocking problems with their software and their general corporate behavior. I mean, you're supposed to tell the truth to your investors. So, I mean, I just tell the truth to everybody. It makes life really simple. I mean, have a set of testes and tell the truth. It's really not that hard. And if you've got an agenda, and you're not approaching science from a good faith perspective, you're not doing science. Maybe we should go through some BitChute comments. I see a lot of them here, and we've had some real genius comments here on BitChute. So let's see what we can do here. Yeah, let's do it. Let's check our BitChute comments. All right, here we go. Starting off on the right foot. So the first comment that I see on my list of 14 comments is by you. 1 day ago. You, not you the viewer, the user's name on BitChute is you. In response to yesterday's daily space weather video, major solar flare or flares likely. You's ingenious comment was, big deal, you effing idiot. Now, they spelled out the full word. I'll keep it PG, I guess. Big deal, you effing idiot. So I'll say, thanks for your lovely comment. Merry Christmas to you too. Santa. Thanks for your lovely comment. Merry Christmas to you too, Santa. All right, so that's the first one, and we get just ridiculous BitChute comment here. I'm sure this will be absolutely brilliant. Let's see, what do we have? The next comment is from Player777. This is an interesting conversation. Check this one out. Player777 says, in all caps, "What a dumb video! Yes, your last days!" So I said, thanks for commenting, imbecile. Maybe one day you'll grow a brain and understand the most basic of science. We're pulling for you, even though you're an utter idiot. Thanks for commenting, Einstein. Player777 says, this is pseudoscience, not worth a turd. So I said, you delete comments too. The mark of a completely mentally bankrupt fool who can't come to grips with reality. Enjoy actuality, noob. It comes hard for people as ridiculous as you. Then Player77, get this. This is one of the best comments I've seen in quite a while. Player777 says, bankrupt? Lol, I have 212 slaves working for me in my company, made this year till now already over 500,000 euros, and you, LMAO, eat SH and die, loser, with a whole series of exclamation marks, LOL. I said, cool, we'll just let Interpol know about it. I'm sure they'll be freed in no time. Enjoy prison, you pathetic excuse for a human dildo. You're morally and mentally bankrupt. Pretty pathetic. Player77 says, freed? They love me and I pay them well. Slaves, as personal, we joke like that, our fun lol. So I'm going to say, learn English before typing, yeah? So that's my response. And I like leaving responses here with the YouTube viewers. And look, we get plenty of dumb comments on YouTube, but BitChute is just an extravaganza of stupidity. And I don't know. And by the way, BitChute is also censored. There are shadow bans on BitChute. So, all right. So what's the next one here? Here we go. Here we go. What's this one? So Francis French, 2 days ago, left a series of laughing to tears emojis and then says, "Twat!" exclamation mark. So I said, more emojis make people with no coherent comments feel like they've emphasized their comment. In reality, you've emphasized how boring, pathetic, ignorant, and lacking imagination you are. I would laugh if it wasn't so pathetically sad and lame. Francis French says, "Imagination? Empirical science gets me every time. Stop showing cartoons, you complete tosser." Okay, verify its size and distance. I don't even think I'm going to grace this with a response. Let's move on to the next idiotic comment on BitChute here. Oh, wait, I think that might be all of them. Why did it show 13? It showed like 14 comments here. Some of these users on BitChute, they have a tendency to go back to older videos to try to get under my skin. And keep in mind, I've been doing this a long time, okay? I've been doing internet stuff before MySpace was a thing. I was already doing stuff like server admin and so forth back in the mid-2000s. So you're not going to hurt my feelings with a comment, folks. You might make me laugh in your face, but you're not going to hurt my feelings with a comment. I've had haters like you would not believe for a long, long time, all right? Since the first bike race I ever did, I've been accused of sandbagging in bike races, okay? So, hilarious story, back in 1997, when I started my cycling career, I started out as a cross-country mountain bike racer and went pro in 99. 97 was the first race back in June of 97 at Gloucester County Community College, New Jersey, the second Flight for Sight, benefiting 4-H or Lions or something. Anyway, so I finished second, and it was, the race, eventually it just kind of found myself by myself chasing the leader with a gap of like between 20 seconds and a minute and a half for the entire, 4 of 5 laps or something like that. And at the end of the race, the official, her name's Judy Miller, who would later become the regional official for the entire region of the Mid-Atlantic states, she calls me a sandbagger. And if you're not familiar with the term, a sandbagger means that you're in a class below your skill level, right? So if you're a pro triathlete and you're competing in beginner class on the mountain bike, you might be a sandbagger. The lower the class in your skill class in cycling, the shorter the races. So it's not as easy as you might think, because it does cause people to ride very quickly for those short races. But anyway, I was accused of being a sandbagger from the first race I ever did. And I was like, sandbagging, huh? It's the first endurance event that I'd ever competed in. The first bike race I'd ever competed in. So, yeah. And from then, let's just say I didn't lose haters. I gained a few. And every athlete will tell you the same thing. The better you are, the less recognition people who don't like you are going to give you. They're going to try to gaslight you about results. That's why you keep a results log and you add it to your race resume each year to send to potential sponsors and so forth. And I've seen some hilarious stuff, man, because it's so funny when you get done with your race. You go back to the car, you put your bike in there, you take off your team gear, you put on regular casual clothes, and then you listen to what people are saying. And I've been recognized more than once. So you're not going to hurt my feelings on the internet. It's just not going to happen. I mean, there are a lot of insecure people on the internet, a lot of neurotic fools who are very concerned about what kind of comments you typed, and they're so worried. Oh no, somebody doesn't like me on the internet. Oh my God, what am I going to do? So anyway, just a little bit of background there about haters. It's the most common thing that you'll find in the realm of sports. No, and of course, remember, folks, the sun really isn't a ball of fire. That is plasma. It's not the same thing at all. It's hotter than your Bic lighter. All right. So yeah, we discovered that there was a huge niche in the realm of space weather. Nobody's really doing detailed space weather reports or showing the imagery of the sun that they ought to show. And we realized that, of course, we could have just put up visual stuff, right? We could have just made little music videos, but I refuse to do something like that because I need to create substantive content. And, really, if you're going to do science, if you're not advancing the science, what are you really doing? You're just reciting a bunch of stuff other people figured out. So when we realize that we think we understand the mechanism underlying the sunspot cycles, that was an oops. That was one of those discoveries that you find out by accident, and then you go, oh, that's crazy. So that's how it is, man. Science is a rabbit hole. You ask questions. Sometimes you get an answer, usually not, because other people have been asking the same questions. So we send out email alerts for most of our posts on the Smash Team site because we want to alert our members that, we've put up content. So that's why it's a paywall. What can I say? And of course, we've been encouraged to create paywalls because of, well, let's just minimum. But I suspect it's probably a criminal matter. I mean, the level of criminal negligence that's gone on, it's just out of control. I mean, we realized back in about 2015 that the free press was dead, and that was a result of watching Fox News. And of course, I wasn't a big watcher of Fox News, but occasionally I would tune in, and what was going on over there was a bunch of Trump sycophants. I mean, that was when we were like, uh-oh, this isn't so good. So, anyway. Let me get to some news stories here because there are some interesting stories. All right, so, and let's talk about the Federal Reserve. Do you think the Federal Reserve is going to lower interest rates soon? I do. And in fact, if you have been watching the channel a lot, you may have even noticed that I forecasted that the Fed wouldn't raise interest rates the last time. And that's exactly what they did. They stopped raising interest rates because the Fed understands its influence on the stock market. And the Fed's influence on the stock market is an issue because that's not the Fed's job. Okay, the Fed's job is to protect the stock. And let's see what's going on here in our comments. Once again, thanks everybody for leaving comments. If you've got a story you'd like us to cover, let us know in the comments. We will consider it. So if you want to know how to get around this, wear a disguise. Get another account, go back and see if your comment was actually visible. That's the only thing you can really do, folks. And there are plenty of channels. I mean, I could set up chat filters here where I could disallow you from typing certain words. And, there are certainly certain words that I would love to, prevent from being put on the comments, but I don't do that because, having integrity is about doing something hard. All right. So, having integrity would have been maintaining the U.S. Constitution in the last 3 years, not turning a blind eye to blatant violations for hundreds of millions of Americans. So there are techniques, Tin TV. There are techniques to not let haters get to you. And ultimately, it's just being secure in yourself. You know, typically people who have ridiculous things to say to you, they're just trying to get under your skin. They're trying to get a reaction. They're being provocative. It's typically about them. So that's usually what's going on there. I mean, and what do we have in the comments here? Just a minute. Yeah, I mean, as far as the internet, I hear people complaining about their internet. I think it might be YouTube folks. So it's not us. Our internet connection is blazingly fast and quite stable. So not sure what that is, but all right. Let me see if I can find any interesting news stories. Oh, did you hear about Ukraine? I don't know if am I allowed to say Ukraine, or does the video get immediately demonetized? Have you heard about Ukraine? Zelensky says he's going to let people vote if they win. What do you think of that? Yeah, democracy. It's a common thing. I see this all the time. It's a democracy, 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 democracy. The U.S. is not a democracy, period. All right? If you want to use one term to describe the government of the federal government of the U.S., it is a constitutional republic, not a democracy. I don't care if Thomas Jefferson used the word democracy in a letter in the freaking early 1800s or something. That has nothing to do with what type of government it is. So having elections does not make it a democracy. A democracy is when the voter legislates. Does that make sense? The U.S. is a constitutional republic. It is not a democracy. So it's a representative government. We ostensibly vote for people who we trust to uphold the laws, enforce the laws, etc., and then they go do it. And if yes, disgusting deep state scum, indeed. So yeah, and Mr. Ed D, thanks for showing up here. Maybe you're new to the channel. We're going to drop a wrench on you. So don't feel left out. You've now got a wrench, Ed D. And thanks for leaving some comments. Just don't send allowing organic growth of posts. The hashtag systems should be fixed. The deboosting should be completely eliminated for all of the different things, because it's so knotted up at this point. You ever notice how you try to load your Facebook homepage and it takes like 2 minutes for it to populate? That's because it has to go through like 6 billion algorithms in order to figure out what to show you, what not to show you. You know, is Glenn Beck's latest post going to be, has it already reached the 200,000 views that he's paid for? Can they show you this, or are they going to show you the most recent post from Bernie Sanders? So, and what really makes the manipulation of social media evil is that it's attempting to control the narrative, control who people are voting for in elections. So if, for example, and I know a lot about this because I've been studying it for a few years, if Facebook thinks that you're on the fence, it's going to send you more political ads. If Facebook doesn't know who you're going to vote for, right? So if you're a hardcore Democrat or a hardcore Republican who always votes straight ticket, you will actually see less political ads on Facebook. Facebook is interested in changing people's minds to get them to vote for their preferred political party, which I will leave unnamed. You could probably guess who it might be. So then, this is not a conspiracy theory. You can disbelieve it if you like. I'm not going to cite any notations of how I know this stuff because I don't keep a bibliography. A bibliography wastes a lot of space in my brain. I get this all the time. How do you know all this stuff? I don't know. I don't know. You need to apply things that you learn to other things, but this is a known thing. It's been well studied. It's been well documented. A lot of the algorithms are backward engineerable, where you can use a series of accounts that interact with each other to test out what happens with different things. And it's It's just ridiculous. Book. Later, also Twitter. So, I mean, now the two main sources for people's news are Twitter and Facebook. Now, some people also use YouTube to, get their news from YouTube. But just keep in mind that there are a lot of forces at work that might not be clear as to what it is they're trying to do with recommendations, very similar to Facebook. And, if you, like, for example, if you turn on autoplay and let YouTube just play videos for you, the algorithm is constantly trying to decide what to play next. So if you skip to the next video, or if you scroll down in the recommended videos and pick one of those, it might switch you to a completely different genre. And it's been fairly well documented here. There are some organizations that are studying this in great depth. So I won't keep talking about it, but yeah, it's pretty interesting. So let's. I'm gonna actually sort of practice what I'm preaching here, and I'm gonna actually go on Twitter myself, and I'm going to see what's trending. So let's see what's up on Twitter. I definitely don't care about that. I mean, I'm a Philadelphia sports team supporter for the most part. But I don't even watch baseball at all. I can't watch baseball. It is too boring of a game that even the pitcher and catcher are spending most of the time waiting for something to happen is not my style. Anyway, so just an example of how broken Twitter's algorithms are. They're completely broken. If you think Elon has fixed Twitter, snap out of the fantasy delusion world that you're living in. The deboost features are still in place, folks. So that's the first thing it idiotically sends me for you. And then it says, let's see, business and finance. Trending. Adult human female. Am I allowed to even say adult human female? Will that get the video instantly demonetized? I don't know. Let us know in the comments what you think. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Trending in political figures. Hashtag Biden delivers. Biden delivers? What, pizzas? What are you talking about? Hashtag Biden delivers. Since it was passed, the Second Amendment has always limited what kind of people can buy guns and what kind of guns people can buy. You can't just go out and buy a cannon. Actually, you can. You can't just go out and buy a cannon, because if you did, the U.S. government would fire nuclear weapons at you from submarines and ballistic missile silos, as well as scramble F-15s. Joe Biden delivers. Yeah, Biden delivers all right. I don't even know what the hashtag means. What does this even mean? Is it a campaign thing? Biden-Harris 2024, yo. Biden-Harris 2024, yo. The ultimate word salad ticket. If you want to read speech directions on your teleprompter, see Joe Biden, Bidenomics. Did you know that using multiple hashtags automatically boosts your posts on Twitter? Yeah. If you use more than one hashtag on Twitter, your tweet will be deboosted. There are various different things. If you tag more than one account, so if you have more than one tag or more than one hashtag, in other words, if you say @Smashomash and @TrollMcClure or whatever the other Twitter account is, if you have two ats, deboosted. You have more than one hashtag, deboosted. There are other features too. If you have an outside link on Twitter, if you post an outside link on your tweet gets deboosted, because Twitter is trying to encourage people to put media on their barely functional platform. And when I say barely functional, I mean it's broken in terms of how the algorithm behaves. It's quite elegant. I mean, it's much more elegant than Facebook. Facebook looks broken when you use it. And the same with YouTube. Like, what's up with the apps? I mean, look at the YouTube apps. Is anybody out there viewing the video who's a content creator who uses the YouTube Studio app? I mean, it's one of the least functional apps that I've ever seen. And you're talking about one of the richest companies in the history of the world here, all right? So, and thanks for leaving a comment, MQPC in Fine Art Studio. I mean, so like, here's a great example how busted YouTube's software is. So when you, if you have the regular YouTube app, like what you'd use to just view videos on your device, if you try to use certain features, it'll say install the YouTube Studio app. The YouTube Studio app is so busted that it doesn't even allow you to change your thumbnail. Let that sink in. You want to change your thumbnail? Oh, the YouTube Studio app, right? Nope. Can you change monetization settings in the YouTube Studio app? Nope. At least not last I checked. So, I mean, I don't know who is writing the software for these organizations, but the software that's in the Apple Store and the Google Play Store is just, it's bonkers. It's changing them, and it's just, you know, and I don't know what the solution is, honestly. I really don't, because all of the software associated with, let's just pick on Facebook for a minute. All the software that is required to have Facebook.com and all of the other related apps and so on functional, accountability comes for everybody. If you keep doing the wrong thing, the universe does not forgive and it does not forget. It will get you. You will have a reckoning if you do stuff like lie to your viewers, do stuff like mute them. I mean, you know, when I get muted, if I know that a YouTube channel has muted me, guess what I do? I go and I leave comments in disguise. Yeah, I have other accounts that I use. And oh boy, is it fun. I mean, it's just fantastic. So, by the way, MQPC and Fine Art Studio, you've now got a wrench as well. So I have a feeling this live stream is going to be a little bit shorter than usual today. It's pretty slow in the news circuit. Well, I feel terribly, and I have all day. So it's, you know, this live stream usually lasts about an hour and 20 minutes, coincidentally. It might be a little shorter today, but I'm still searching for more stories to cover. So I don't know what this Biden delivers is all about. Something went wrong. Try reloading. The perfect storm. Oh, there's a tornadic type system up in BC. Okay, so I've got an idea. Let's this is something I wanted to cover. How did I forget this? Yeah, that's some news. Check it out. So, in the morning space weather videos, the space weather and earth weather together videos, we usually show this shortwave radiation map, the 3.9 micrometer shortwave radiation map. But since it's the afternoon, now we get to show the visible satellite. And there is definitely a story to cover here. There is a gargantuan amount of smoke currently crossing Lake Erie. It might be across by now, but check out the visible satellite here. Oh, we're going to zoom in. So check it out. That is a berserk amount of smoke. You can see it's just coming into Erie, Pennsylvania right now. It's actually going to clear up there. It's not going to be too smoky there for too long, but it looks like that smoke is going to be pulled into the mid-Atlantic states just as forecast. You can see all this stuff up here. That is a massive amount of smoke. And I mean, I'm waiting for it. It's like I'm like, oh, all right, well, if it gets really smoky, I'm going riding. I think the now, of course, this isn't health advice, folks. I would never give health advice. That's very dangerous. But I went riding on the smokiest day on round 1 of the Great American Smokeout, and it didn't do anything. I didn't notice anything. I did climb one of the hardest climbs in the whole Lehigh Valley, and it was just fine. So that's just a personal anecdote, folks. Again, that's not health advice. Take those air quality warnings very seriously if you're not me. But then again, if everybody did stuff normal, how boring of a planet would we have, right? So here's some more imagery from windy.com's satellite. And it's actually a little cooler there. Looks a little bit better than the NASA Visible, the NASA GOES visible satellite. So that's definitely a story. And what else do we have in comments here? Again, thanks everybody for leaving comments. Don't hesitate to do so. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to press subscribe, etc. And don't forget to visit the links below the video. You can save 20% on all items from the Redbubble shop by entering the promo code Extravaganza. Links below the video to the homepage, the Smash Team site, and all of that other massive infrastructure that we built because we knew we would need it because of the state of affairs on social media mainly. There's a great view of that smoke while we're here on Windy. Particulate. PM 2.5. So there's the map. And it looks like the thickest smoke there is north of Petersboro. North of Petersboro, where it's 75 degrees F. All right, so any other news stories to cover, folks? I'm going to put the sun back up here, and I'm going to go back to a news crawl. I'm going to do the standard thing that we usually do on our weekly Wednesday live streams, and that is go to the original fake news, cbsnews.com. So it's always hilarious to view cbsnews.com, a complete abomination. One of my least favorite news sources. I'm not even going to display their ridiculous website. And I'm not going to burn out your eyes by putting a ridiculous website up here. Oh, hold on a minute. All right, those videos are muted. Perfect. All right, so photos show recovered Titan sub-debris after, quote, catastrophic implosion, end quote. That was a bad move. What kind of a maniac is going to pay 6 figures, that is hundreds of thousands of dollars, to go on a submarine that has a porthole that is rated for 30% of the depth that you're planning to go to? As if the other aspects of it aren't insane enough. No basic safety beacon. A porthole rated for, like, 1,200 meters, but they're going to 3,600 meters or something like that. Like, what were they? I believe for a similar price, you could actually go to space. And by the way, it's way safer going to space. Why not just do a virtual tour of the Titanic? Get a remote-controlled submersible. But people definitely seem to be, let's just say, not utilizing all of their mental faculties. What else do we got here? Donald Trump sues E. Jean Carroll for defamation. Another story that I do not care about. Delta plane makes smooth emergency landing at Charlotte. That was pretty sweet. They landed with an emergency slide. The nose landing gear was inoperable. So a total of 96 customers, 2 pilots, and 3 attendants were on board the 717. I believe that's a Boeing 717. And Fantastic job by those pilots there. Safely sliding the nose on Flight 1092 without any reported injuries. They apologize to their customers for their experience. That is some good piloting, folks. So it's always nice to see that. And by the way, we're friends with several pilots over there on Twitter, because pilots love to spots that I'm showing. That is the constellation Cygnus. So there is one very bright star that you'll see slide across. I believe it's down at the bottom. That's Alpha Cygni, the star also referred to as Deneb, a high-mass X-ray binary, and the only known cosmic ray point source. All right, so what do we have on Extreme Tech? Let's see what's going on here. No, you can't send me notifications. All right, what do we got? The top headline on extremetech.com today is hands-on with Synology's new TC500 and BC500 security cameras. Do you have a pan-tilt camera? Now, we've got security cameras, and man, did that ever make our lives easier. So fantastic. Somebody knocks on a door, you look out the camera, just fantastic. Also, you are spying on yourself when you do it, but keep in mind, it raises your security very high. It's impossible to get into our residence without being on a camera. So that is a good thing. And we should actually put them on Amazon. Maybe we'll have to do that. We'll put up some security devices. So here we go. A story related to the channel. Astronomers find a new way for stars to die. Okay. Quote, it might take billions of years for a star to die, but they all eventually do, allegedly. We thought we had a good handle out. I think there might be some issues with the concordance model of stellar evolution. You think? So, anyway. So, yeah, a gamma ray burst blamed on two stars smashing together really hard. They're really reaching here. Using the Gemini South Telescope, the Nordic Optical Telescope, and Hubble, scientists at Noir Lab took stock of the ancient galaxy, which has a supermassive black hole in its center. Given its age, all stars capable of going supernova and producing gamma-ray bursts have already done so, leaving just low-mass stars caught in the black hole's grasp. That black hole is a massive radio source. Yeah, I'm still using the term from the mid-1990s. Massive radio source. It's a verifiable series of facts about the object. It's a big object. We can see things orbiting it. So it's obviously massive. Otherwise, it wouldn't have things orbiting it. And it emits radio frequency radiation. So it's a massive radio source. Remember, folks, science is not coming up with a theory and then going out and searching nature to try to find things that prove your theory. Science is about seeing stuff in nature and going, how does that work? Coming up with plausible theories about it, testing the theories over and over again, maybe even creating the same situation in a laboratory, and who knows, maybe you'll make an actual breakthrough. Science is not, I've come up with a crazy theory. Now let's go find examples of this in nature. That is not science. That is grasping. That is reaching. That is reaching with no reach around. So anyway, yeah, I actually saw this story a few days ago, and it's every time a gamma ray burst happens, it typically is going to have some features. It's going to have things that make you go, things that make astronomers go, things that make you go, Shout out to CNC Music Factory. If you're watching this video, we're frankly surprised that you've seen the content. All right, what else do we have here? So some new security cameras. Here we go. Microsoft plans to make a Windows cloud subscription document in FTC lawsuit confirms. What? Microsoft plans to make Windows a cloud subscription. That sounds like a terrible idea. And of course, a lot of organizations are trying to transfer everything to the cloud now. There are some advantages to not requiring the internet in order for things to occur. Hey, check it out, folks. We got a big flare happening right on that large sunspot right in the center of the solar disk. Having stuff like, okay, so for example, Battlefield 3, a video game that came out around 2011, I think, maybe 2012. Battlefield 3. You can't play the single-player version of the game without an internet connection. Why? It makes no sense. I bought it on a physical disc version on purpose because I wanted to be able to play the game locally without being connected to the internet. But you can't do that. It makes no sense. Like, there is great value in storing some data on your device. Having everything on the cloud seems like a great idea from the software manufacturer's perspective. From the consumer's perspective, less so. Now, by the way, I talk about this all the time. If you want a PC that is actually secure and private, there's one way to do that. You can run Linux. If you run Linux on an encrypted drive, you'll have a private and secure device. Otherwise, you won't. I don't care if you're running Apple, Microsoft, or Android. Linux is the only option to have a secure and private device, period. And I mean completely secure and private. If you want to not allow anybody to see what is on your device, you can do that. Just don't forget your password because you'll have locked yourself out at that point. All right, what else do we have here? Just reading your comments here, folks. Just give me a minute. Reading and talking at the same time is a skill that I am slowly cultivating. It's pretty hard, though. Yeah, that's a good point. AB, smother them with love. When somebody's giving you a hard time on the internet, one of the common responses that I often have in the YouTube comments and so on, when people leave derogatory comments, is, "Oh, well, thanks for sharing your opinion and thanks for leaving a comment." It's like, I think a lot of viewers are not aware that pressing the dislike button is better for us in terms of the algorithm than not pressing anything. So, you watch the video, you don't leave a comment, you don't press share, you don't press comment, you don't visit links, right? That's not as good for the algorithm as if you do the same thing, but you press thumbs down. Thumbs down is better than no thumb, you see, because the platforms want people to interact. Facebook has known for years that posting annoying stuff on Facebook that is provocative, that's how you get higher in the algorithm on Facebook. It's berserk. And part of this is because software manufacturers are, well, I don't know about Microsoft, but Apple, Facebook, Twitter, and Google, they all use engagement as a measure of how good the software is, right? So if the software is highly engaging, meaning you spend a lot of time on it, let's say it takes you 5 minutes to type a sentence because your keyboard barely functions and it's made out of software and you can barely press the keys and you got to keep backspacing and deleting. It takes you let's say it takes you 5 minutes to type a simple sentence, right? If it only took you 5 seconds to type it, these organizations consider that worse software. They're not considering your productivity at all, and they don't care about your wasted time, and they can't refund it ever. So let that sink in. They're using engagement to determine how good the software is. So this device and the software on it is measured. The metrics that are used when, let's see, this is a Samsung. The metrics that are used to measure this are engagement, which means the more time you spend doing something, the better it is. They're not taking into consideration like wasted keystrokes. How much do you use the backspace? I mean, my backspace key is wearing out on my Android device, folks. My backspace key is wearing out. I press backspace more than any other key because, I mean, I can barely type 2 words without some kind of a typo. And fun fact, I use swipe to text. You put your finger down, you slide it around from letter to letter, and it will generally pick the right word. But this is fraught with problems too, because once again, your keyboard features, right? Software keyboards seem dumb. Well, they are. And it's because they have to talk to the internet in order to use these advanced typing features. If you want to voice to text, it has to access the internet. If you want to use swipe texting, it has to access the internet. So that's why it'll type complete nonsense words sometimes, because it's like it's going to pick from a series of words that it thinks are most likely to be typed based on like the most popular words on the internet or something. It's bizarre. It makes no sense, and it is not good for your productivity. Your wasted time can never be refunded. They can give you $1 billion. They can't give you back all the time you spent trying to simply type a few words. I've never seen so many typos. I mean, you would think that this stuff would get better with time, and when is the last time any of these devices have improved? All they do is make all the software bigger and more. Let's put the buttons in different places. You ever notice that? Every time a new software update comes, you're like, one of your settings gets reset, and now the control is someplace where you can't find it, and you got to look for 10 minutes to try to find where this control is to flip one switch so that your software works the way you want it to. Guess what that did? It increased engagement. Yeah. In other words, that's a good thing. That means it's better. It's better, according to the manufacturers. So let that sink in. It's pretty bad. Next, we're going to go to SciTechDaily.com. As I haven't read SciTech Daily today, I haven't looked at the headlines. It's my favorite science publication, SciTechDaily.com. Oh, sweet. Previously unknown weak spot in prostate cancer discovered. That's good. We like that. And yes, we were buffering there too. That's not just you. That was the live stream, not our internet connection. It probably wasn't your internet connection either. So maybe YouTube has a lot of traffic right now. Lots of people doing live streams perhaps on a Wednesday afternoon. Like it's real popular for live streams or something. I don't know. What else do we have here? Genetic breakthrough. What makes multiple sclerosis worse? And new paths to better treatment. That's pretty good. Here's a good one that'll have people spouting nonsense about science. Scientists reveal that water can, quote, talk, end quote, to electrons in graphene. Wow. Think of the potential ramifications of this. There's going to be a lot of people saying, "Ooh, everything's connected, everything's electric." It's not. What the heck? Water graphene quantum friction. Water and carbon make a quantum couple. The flow of water on a carbon surface is governed by an unusual phenomenon dubbed quantum friction. A new recent study provides experimental proof of this phenomenon, previously predicted through theoretical research occurring at the interface of liquid water and graphene, a monolayer of carbon atoms. The research was conducted using advanced ultra-fast technologies. Pretty interesting. Perhaps some sort of technological implications to that. That's a pretty decent sized flare. Let's take a look at what's going on here with the X-ray flux. Okay, more of like a long duration flare. It looked a little more intense than it actually is, but keep in mind it is right in the Earth-facing zone. A little double peak C-class flare, about a C5. So So probably no surprise to our regular viewers there, as it did occur on one of the 2 most likely spots to see a large flare. Zoom in a little closer on that for you. What else do we have on SciTech Daily? Anything interesting? How about new study showing immune activation in depression more common than previously thought? You know, being depressed, having a bad mindset about things, can make physical conditions much worse. A lot of people are aware of this, and of course there are things like the placebo effect that affects things as well. So let's see what this is all about. New findings from the Institute of Psychiatry, Psychology and Neuroscience at King's College London suggest that the number of patients with major depressive disorder, or MDD, who have activated immune systems may be greater than previously thought. The conclusion is based on an assessment of gene expression associated with CRP. CRP is a C-reactive protein that is an inflammation-related protein. Studies using CRP have found that 21 to 27% of people with depression have an activated immune response. But CRP levels do not capture the complete picture of the immune response. The new study set out to observe broader immune-related characteristics that are not captured by CRP levels. Let's see if I can get a conclusion here. Genes of those with MDD that is independent of CRP levels, and crucially, even in those where inflammation is not captured measuring CRP. This means that increased immune activation is present in many more depressed patients than originally thought. Yeah, depression, it causes inflammation. And of course, there's stress hormones and so on, all kinds of things. Lack of sleep causes stress, all sorts of things. As a bicycle racer, you need carbs for the high intensity portion of your exercise. But for the low intensity portion, I can do like about a 40 miler on 0 calories. I can ride a bicycle about 40 miles on 0 calories. So now, again, that's not going to be like a full training ride, but the ketogenic diet, what it did is it forced us to eat better food. So that was the main effect of it, right? So, and what that means is the ketogenic diet is a diet where you avoid nearly all carbohydrate. So you can get carbohydrate through certain types of vegetables, but you want to avoid things like potatoes, bread, rice, all of those starchy carbohydrate type things. And that encourages your body to burn fat, otherwise known as ketosis, and that has all sorts of basically reverse aging effects. We sort of abandoned that, but we stuck with all of the improvements in the food. So it's a big deal. Make one tweak, folks. Make one tweak. If you're thinking of changing something, next time you go to the grocery store, change something. Do one thing differently. You are a living laboratory, so do some testing. You may be amazed at the results. Now, intermittent fasting has been a huge deal into a few hours. So somewhere between like 3 and 8 p.m., that 5-hour period, pack all the calories in there, eat whatever you want, and then go back and do it the next day. Your body will actually probably respond to this pretty quickly, and you'll be surprised at how solid your energy levels are, where they're just static energy levels throughout the whole day. You'll find that you're not hungry. It works great. I mean, check it out. Try intermittent fasting. Try it for a week or two. I think within only a matter of a couple days, many of you might notice that there's some kind of a huge difference going on. I like it. It's very convenient. And again, if you're going to be doing very high intensity workouts, for the most part, most people ought to consume some calories. Something like a bowl of quality cereal, that provides a little protein with the milk, or something like, I don't know, like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich is pretty decent for riding, and then some fruit. And the rule of thumb is if you're doing, let's say you're doing a 3-hour bike ride, eat something every about 10 miles or every about 1 hour. Eat something every hour, half of an energy bar or something like that. Each time is usually about right. I mean, I like Cliff Bars. That's what I'm usually using. The current selection is Cliff Mint Chocolate Chip, I think. Just fantastic. So, yeah, and that will give you the higher energy output that you need if you're going to like train for real, right? So it's, there are different things that cyclists do. At the beginning of the season and, over the winter, a lot of people, they only do base miles, which means they're not doing any speed work. They're not worried about any sprinting. They're not worried about out-of-saddle performance versus in-saddle performance and starts and what their wattage is. They're not worried about any of that. They're just worried about how many miles they're doing. It's called base miles. And that's a very different scenario than, training for a time trial and doing a 40K ride at full speed. That's, you need carbs for that kind of stuff if you want to have maximum performance. And, after the workout, have some carbs right after the workout. That'll help to replace your muscle glycogen, and that will save you a bunch of energy. So you're instead of going through a full depletion state in your muscles, if you have sufficient calories there throughout those hard workouts, that muscle glycogen it won't have to be rebuilt. It'll just get shoved right back in there by consuming carbs after hard exercise. So some little workout hacks for you there from somebody who's been doing this a while. All right. Oh, yes. Earth's axial tilt. Thanks for reminding me of that one, Solanay. Yes. Solanay B says, how about the one that human use of water is tipping the Earth? Yeah. I'm surprised that one hasn't made the rounds on YouTube yet. There are certain YouTube charlatans who I suspect are going to be covering that story very soon. Check it out. I just searched for axial tilt groundwater. Yeah, groundwater. And here is the article. And we have already shared this with the Smash Team members. I actually put the whole article on the Smash Team site, and I knew it was only a matter of time before I wouldn't be able to avoid this story anymore. Yeah, groundwater. Water is very massive, folks. And we know that Earth's rotation speed is associated with water. In other words, when you have sea level rise, the planet rotates more slowly. The day gets longer. And when you have very low sea levels, the planet rotates faster. Think of a spinning figure skater. What happens when she sticks her arms out? She slows down, right? What happens if she pulls her arms in? She speeds up, right? Well, it turns out, it sounds completely crazy. The Earth does the same thing. Because around the equator, there is a lot of water, namely the Pacific and Indian and Atlantic Oceans, and there's an equatorial bulge of that water, and the amount of water in the ocean is proportional to the length of the day. So really high sea levels, longer days, really low sea levels, faster rotation, and shorter days, and here you go. So you would expect the pole to be moving toward Greenland, the axial shift, right? Because there's so much ice there, but it's actually moving toward Iceland. So you'd expect it to be moving toward Greenland, but it's moving toward Iceland, and it has to do with I believe it's groundwater pumping in Asia mainly. Hang on a minute here. When they excluded groundwater redistribution from this model, the results did not match observed eastward polar drift. Instead, it predicted a much more westward tilt. So, they've quantified the role of groundwater pumping on polar motion, and it's pretty significant. Other non-negligible Non-negligible changes in water and mass distribution may have played a role in polar motion between 1993 and 2010, including shifts in natural lake levels, mantle convection, and earthquakes. However, these are difficult to quantify, and no global database currently exists, the authors wrote in the study. While polar shifts recorded in the last few decades are unlikely to affect the length of days or seasons, the finding illustrates just how much water humans have pumped from the ground. I'm concerned and surprised, CO says in the statement. Yeah, it's interesting indeed. And of course, like all rotating objects, Earth has a precessional tilt as well. So every about 24,000 years, there is a cycle where the Earth's axis draws a circle in the sky. And at one end of that scale, guess what the North Star is? Yeah, Deneb. The North Star, it's a celestial pole star. And at the other end of the precessional cycle, Deneb is a celestial pole star. So anyway, that's what's going on as far as a little bit of a tilt shift in Earth's axial tilt, believed to be from... All right, I'm not going to cover that one. Just a minute here. See what else we have. Oh, how about this one? SpaceX Dragon's homecoming. Space station crew loads 3,600 pounds of cargo for the Thursday undocking. All right, anybody got a news source you'd like me to look up? I'm going to go to, let's see, what can we use here? How about, I know you all love it, let's check out CNN.com. I know you're all huge fans of CNN, so let's see what's going on over there. And, oh, here we go.
Always ask me, Kevin, what does
Oh
being
my
the
gosh.
CEO of Cash backing me?
My bad. All right, so the top headline here on the most busted name in news, not to be confused with the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. Rumors of a Russian military purge have begun. Would that be surprising to you, folks? Would that be surprising? At this point, probably most of you would not be surprised by anything. Questions of the military's loyalty to Putin and preparedness persist after the Wagner mutiny went largely unchallenged. So let me ask you this, folks. What do you think about Putin's popularity in Russia? It seems to me that his popularity would be horrible because of the economic implications. But, you know, who knows? Maybe he's super popular. I don't know. And let me just get to the bottom of your comments here. Again, thanks for leaving all those comments, all of you delightful viewers. We are grateful to have all of you with us on the live stream. Okay, SCDHL number 4. I typed 2 comments to you yesterday explaining that you can go to the Smash Team site and sign up for email alerts. When we put out the major video releases like this daily space weather videos, we send out email alerts to people on the Smash Team. You can join at the bronze level and it doesn't cost you anything. You'll get email alerts directly from our server. So for everybody who's not getting notifications on YouTube, we get the complaint nearly every day, and this is now the 3rd time I'm telling you SCDHL number 4. Go to smashomash.com/SmashTeam, or just go to smashomash.com and click the Smash Team graphic. There's even a link at the top of the page to the Smash Team. And then little double peak C-class flare there. Oh, you know what? It's actually a simul flare. Check it out. There's one. There's actually a flare coming from both of these major northern sunspot groups, I think. You know, a great way to find out if there's internet outages going on is maybe you've heard of it before. Let me share with you a great, brilliant tool. Downdetector.com. All right, so what do we have here? So, yeah, it looks like some multiple things happening here. TD Bank, Dead by Daylight, DoorDash, YouTube seeing some intermittent outages there, or little spikes in outages. Could be a little cyber attack or something fun like that. No major indications. There's another good website also. I can't remember what it is. Down detector, just a minute here. 1000eyes.com. So this will show you actual internet outages, and check it out. There are indeed a bunch. So a bunch of internet outages in Europe and both coasts of the U.S. So that's a pretty significant series of outages there. And that probably has to do with the connectivity issues. So no real surprise there. Netflix, Walmart, Salesforce, Cogent, Twitch, Netflix. So there you go. 1000eyes.com. It's a very good one. We like to use it on the regs. On the regs. All right, so it's time to close this thing out, folks. Once again, thanks everybody for leaving comments. Let me just get to the bottom of those real quick. And oh yeah, consumer tip. If your brain hurts because you've got new information, let me tell you my favorite story in the past few years about my brain hurting. When I listened to Pierre-Marie Robitaille talk about condensed matter stars, I realized that there is a new paradigm shift coming, and it took me a while to come to grips with this, but I realized immediately the implications on cosmology. The moral of the story is, if something is hurting your brain, that means you're learning. Learning is not a discomfort-free process. It's like bench press. No pain, no gain when it comes to learning. So if your brain hurts because of new information, just give it a little time. Your brain does work on a series of chemical switches. So these things do not just appear instantly. And while thoughts appear instantly, the long-term memory takes at least overnight to encode. So just realize that. You know, the way memory works, folks, it's very interesting. And I used to be a psych major also. I took most of the classes for psychology. I took 83% of the core classes for a BS in psychology when I was at Kutztown University of Pennsylvania. And, you know, memory is a very interesting thing. The way it works is you got to get stuff in the short-term memory. To get it in the short-term memory, you have to pay attention to it, right? Attention is the key to memory. This is why your goofiest teachers have always been your best teachers, because they found gimmicky ways to attract your attention. And what that does is that causes you to learn. And so once it's in your short-term memory, because you were able to pay attention to it, you got to sleep on it. It will not encode into your long-term memory. Long-term memory encoding is tied together with REM sleep, or it might even be deep sleep cycles. But in any case, the reason cramming for a test is not as effective as studying over time is because of the way the short-term and long-term memory works. When you cram for a test, you're only putting it in your short-term memory, and you know this is why it's not that effective. It's good exercise for your short-term memory, but it does nothing for long-term learning. So yeah, I mean, goofy teachers are fantastic. I had this speech teacher when it was like first year of college. I think it might have even been first semester of college. I had this guy. It's the intro to public speaking, and you know it's the most basic public speaking course. And This guy's 6'10". He's a real goofy dude. And that class was fantastic. He's one of the best professors I ever had, and that's one of the worst classes I ever took. Because, I mean, did you know that public speaking, people are so afraid of public speaking that they're less afraid of death and divorce? Yeah, they're more afraid of public speaking than divorce or death. That's how neurotic people are about public speaking. And this professor was great. I mean, I got like a C in that class. I didn't do very well because the main project, he didn't like my culmination of the semester project, which was really an economics speech. I didn't like it. He didn't like it because it involved destroying the tobacco industry. So, you know, I was a young 18 or 19-year-old idealist at the time. So, did not do well because of the subject matter. But I digress. That class was great because the professor was a real goof. And, you know, I learned a lot. There's a lot to... Public speaking isn't really that hard. It's basically the same as conversational speaking. You have to consider the audience. All the rest of the stuff is pretty elementary, really. It's all about doing things in an orderly fashion. You start out by introducing what you'll say, then you say the thing, and then you repeat the thing that you said in your conclusion. Go follow us on Instagram, etc. If you like fitness and lifestyle posts, hit us up on Instagram. There are posts almost every day on Instagram about different little nuancy things about what I'm doing on my bike and so on. It'll provide you a little bit of motivation over there. To quote one of our viewers, even a mediocre bike ride is better than no bike ride. You know, and by the way, if you're sore and you know you're like, oh, I'm too sore to like work out today, that soreness is a reminder to work out. Just go light, because active recovery works way better than passive recovery. The more circulation you have, you know, go to the gym and pedal the stationary bike real easy for a half hour or something like that. Get your heart rate up a couple of times and let it drop back down quickly. Reactivate the muscles, folks. Reactivate them just for a short period of time. Don't do an extended effort if you're beat up from previous efforts, but do the reps, do them lighter, whatever, and you'll thank me for it later. So anyway, I'll thank you for tuning into the video now, and it's time for me to vanish. And while I'm gone,